does.
Good morning, Hillcity. Welcome to Fall Kickoff.
Morning, Jordan.
Morning. You guys might not know this one.
It's just to make you jump
We're
around.
just doing it to get this party started. I don't need the smoke, no mirrors, 'cause I know there's a God who's real. I don't need the lights to fool me, 'cause I've seen a God who heals. I know when I ask, I'll receive it. You're not a God who withholds. I hear you say, just believe me. I need a Holy Ghost awakening in my soul. I need a love that glows, rattling my bones till the end shows. I need a Holy Ghost awakening in my soul. I need a heart on fire that'll never grow tired wherever I go. I need a Holy Ghost. I need a ghost. Holy Ghost. I need a ghost. I don't need a counterfeit comfort, 'cause nothing in this world remains. I need something stronger than lightning flowing inside of these veins. I need a Holy Ghost awakening my soul. I need a love that grows, rattling my bones till the evidence shows. I need a Holy Ghost awakening my soul. I need a heart on fire that'll never grow tired wherever I go. I need a Holy Ghost. I need a ghost. Holy Ghost. I need a ghost. You're the fire, I can't even explain it. It's like I'm bursting with a heavenly language. Every time I get a taste, I know I just want more. I just want more. You're the kingdom that's growing inside me. It's like a lion's roar that wants to revive me. Every time I get a taste, I know I just want more. I need a Holy Ghost awakening my soul. I need a love that glows, rattling my bones till the evidence shows. I need a Holy Ghost awakening my soul. I need a heart on fire that'll never grow tired wherever I go. I need a Holy Ghost. I need a ghost. 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 All right, now we're gonna do songs you guys can sing along to. It's so good to have you guys here. I'm stalling so I get my water. It's great to have you guys here. Excited to worship. Gotta catch my breath. I was walking the wayside, lost on a lonely road. I was chasing the high life. Just when I thought it was over, you broke me out of the grave. I'm gonna climb a mountain, I'm gonna shout about it. I am a child of love. I found a world of freedom, I found a friend of Jesus. I am a child of love. Oh yeah, yeah. Oh, I am a child of love. Yeah, yeah. Oh, I am a child of love. Nothing can change the way you love me. Nothing can change the way I belong to you. Yes, I do. Nothing can separate. Sing it again. Nothing can change the way you love me. Nothing can change the way I belong to you. Yes, I do. Nothing can separate. I'm gonna climb a mountain. Oh, I am a child of love. I found a world of freedom. Oh, I am a child of love. I'm gonna climb a mountain, I'm gonna shout about it. I am a child of love. I found a world of freedom, I found a friend in Jesus. I am a child of love. Yeah. Whoa. I am a child of love. Yeah. Yeah. Oh. I am a child of love. It's the coffee's back. That's it, guys, I swear. We're gonna tune because we're playing too hard.
I'm just going to keep playing the shaker.
That's good. I need to breathe too. We might have a passed out worship leader. Whew. You guys excited? That's good to hear.
I'm marginally excited.
That's good. And if you're troubled and heavy-hearted, well, come to Jesus and find your peace. And if you're run down and empty-handed, come to Jesus and find your strength. He is hope for the hopeless, rest for the weary, help for the hurting. He Prince of Peace, author and maker of everything, defender, deliverer, King of Kings. He is helper and healer forevermore, savior and shelter through every storm, my refuge, redeemer, and Lord of Lords. He is child of heaven, son of man, provider, protector, the great I am, Alpha, Omega, beginning and He is hope for the hopeless, rest for the weary, help for the hurting. He is mending the broken, bearing the burdens, all that you need. All that you need is. Jesus, that's what you are. You're a comforter. You're a healer. You're a protector. And the things that we seek, the things that we look for, and the things that we desire, if we're looking at places that aren't you, then we're looking in the wrong places. So God, I ask that this morning you remind us of the things that you're doing in our lives, that you are helping us along and giving us peace and grace. God, just keep our eyes on you today. Stay here with us as we learn about you and dive deeper into our faith with one another. We love you. We adore you. You are worthy of praise. Amen.
Welcome to Hillcity. I'm Krista, and we want to thank you for joining us in person or online. For anyone new, we have a connection table in the back. They're here to greet you, answer questions, and give you all the information like why we believe what we believe, learning about opportunities for you, your kids, and your family, and to connect you to life groups, youth groups, kids ministry, volunteering, and so much more.
We believe that giving can be an act of worship. If you'd like to partner with us financially, you can do that in 2 simple ways. The first simple way is to drop something in the offering basket in the back. The second way is that you can give online or in the Hillcity app.
Prayer is a huge ministry at Hillcity, and we've got a great prayer ministry team. We'd love to pray with you through the week or just today. We'll have folks available to pray with you after church at the side of the church, and if you just would like to share a prayer with us, you can do so in the offering box.
You also can find us on social media, on Facebook, YouTube, or Instagram. We communicate everything that's happening here at Hillcity Church on those platforms, and we also have an app. You can download it on the iTunes Store, or the Google Play Store, or the Android Store, or whatever store you get your apps from. And it's called the Hillcity app, where you can find message notes, events, and more.
And lastly, and what our family probably utilizes more than anything else within the church, is Ask Aaron. So if you have any questions about today's messages, or you have questions that your children ask you that you can't answer, you can send a text to the church number that's on the bottom of the screen, or send an email to aaron@hillcityhudson.org. He will answer every single one, literally will answer every single one of them in his weekly video that will be posted on YouTube or Facebook.
Thank you so much for joining us here at Hillcity Church this week. We hope you have a fantastic week. Keep following Jesus and come join us again next week.
To return the most fruitful.
Good morning. Hey, if you have not signed up to be in a Hill City Life group, in a small group yet, please do that. There's QR codes, there's stuff online, you can do it on the app. If you have signed up to be in a small group, your small group leaders should have contacted you already and let you know, unless you're in Maddie and Jason Rosewood's apparently, because she's making a face at me. So, anyway, please consider that. We really value those smaller communities within our larger church community. This morning, we are entering into a brand new series of messages entitled, This is Home. And we hope if you spend enough time here, if you hang around us long enough, that statement might be true for you as well as it is for us. Not because we think that we want you to sell your current home and move into this Catholic school gymnasium. Although, I mean, as far as Catholic school gymnasiums go, it's pretty nice, right? Like, let's give St. Pat's a... It's air conditioned. There are rooms upstairs that are pretty cool, but you can't go there. We'll get kicked out if you go upstairs. So don't do that. But we think that everyone needs to have a group of people, a community of faith where they can be themselves, where they can ask real questions, seek real answers, where they can learn and grow and be challenged and gain true acceptance, experience love and patience and contentment. We think that explanation, that place that I just described, sounds a whole lot like a family. We think it's how a family should be. And the place where families reside and most often, do everything together is expressed as home. Now, I'm going to tell you a little secret about me. It's not actually that much of a secret. I am not the raging extrovert that you might think I am after watching me do my job today or any Sunday morning. Sure, I love people. I am passionate about helping everyone I can figure out who God created you to be, helping you grow and mature and become more like Jesus every single day. But if you really want to know what I would like, if you want to know what energizes me, if you want to know where I am the most comfortable, if you want to know where I would spend almost all of my time, if it was my way, I would be at home on the couch in attire not presentable for church, with an iced tea in my hand and some sort of sporting event on the television. In fact, at 3:25, that is where you will find me today. Oh, the Packers are on. I didn't even know. Now, I will probably, in that scenario, hop on a bike and ride 20 miles and then come home, change back into my sweatpants shorts, put on a tank top, and disappear under a blanket and the comforts of home. Don't get me wrong. It is not that I don't like you. I would probably invite you over. We could share a frozen pizza. I would grill you a steak. I would let you sit on the couch next to me, as long as you went home. I am just most comfortable at home. Maybe you're like me, and I understand if you're not, because sometimes home can be a very uncomfortable place, right? The people there know us at our best and our worst. And if they truly love us well, they challenge us to become better and more mature versions of ourselves, and they love and support us through it, but there can be some friction. One of the couples that comes to Hill City for a long time used to refer to those moments of friction as intense marital fellowship. No matter how good the people in our life are at helping us grow, the process of growing can be uncomfortable. And that's something that I personally have been working a lot on recently, being uncomfortable and being okay with it. If I'm being honest with you, a lot of the time, it really stinks. But I also see that it's worth it. So whether you're here this morning for the first time in a long time, or you've been here the entire summer, I hope that we can be just a little bit uncomfortable together, but that you think of the people that sit around you, the people that form this church alongside you as a family, and you think of this place, not this gym, but this place that we call Hill City, home. And I hope that it can be home to you for a very, very long time. And I'm very, very happy that you're here because there's so much great stuff happening today. Look at all the free stuff we got over there. We've got free lunch in the back. Donna showed it to me. If you can't tell, I've been a little under the weather this week, and she was showing me the food back there. There's a bottle of horseradish that I am convinced I can use as a nasal decongestant. Okay, I haven't yet. I will wait until you all go through the line, but then I'm going to try that sucker out. In high school, believe it or not, I went to Hudson High School. I graduated in 2000, so you can figure out how old I am. In high school, I started out in the most popular of crowds. My high school experience began in a polyester suit with a hat that had a feather and white shoes that people referred to as dinkles. Let me hear it, my marching band homies. Yes, I was in the marching band. And if you don't know anything about high school hierarchy, marching band is the top. It goes marching band, 4-H, kids who don't go to class but just fix cars all day. I'm not even sure what that is, but it's a thing. Then you've got, of course, quarterback. Okay. Science nerds, I'm just making it up at this point. I was what we referred to as a band geek. All my friends were in band. I played the trombone. I was marginally good at it. My grandfather gifted me his trombone. My band teacher told me you could give it a bath. I put it in the bathtub and all the lacquer came off. I thought my mom might murder me. But something about being a band geek just never really clicked for me. And the summer between my junior and senior year, I found myself being accepted by a whole new hierarchy of people. Choir jocks. In 10th grade, I joined choir, and it took them 2 years, but they finally figured out how awesome I was. And so in my senior year, I got to hang out with all sorts of people. Let's see if we can fix that. I got to hang out with all sorts of people that I had not hung out with before. I'm going to grab the... Yeah. I got to hang out with an entirely new group of people. We were in a play together. I ran sound and lights for musicals. I met my wife standing on a bench dressed as a crazy mad scientist. When I had hair, it was dyed white. I didn't even have a beard yet because all the hair was still on the top of my head. Many of you experienced what is the normal high school life. Where do I fit in? Where will I belong? What group of people is going to accept me? Maybe let me be the person I want to be. Maybe I'll have to change a couple things. But since high school, maybe even junior high, we have all been asking the same question. Is there any place for me to belong? Right? We have asked this question over and over, and high school is notorious for making us ask that question. Who should I hang out with? What should I do with my free time? Do I play sports? Do I play music? Do I fix cars? Do I raise animals? Do I drive around in the parking lot on a tractor? There's Josh. Where are you, Josh Ross Miller? No?
everybody is trying to figure out who they are and what they're going to do. But if I'm being honest, it doesn't stop there, does it? Right? At some point, when we grow up, there's just a new set of circumstances for us to figure out. What am I going to do for a living? Who and what is worth my time? Is my house as big or as nice as the people down the street or the people on my kid's sports team? I don't make as much money as them. Will they accept me if my kid isn't as good as theirs? If my kid isn't as popular? What do the other parents think of me? Do my coworkers like me? Do I want my coworkers to like me? If my marriage is struggling, should I tell somebody or do I just pretend it's okay? I don't know what I believe about God or politics or any number of things, but I know one thing. I want a place to belong. And sometimes, even the most popular, the most put together of us wake up, look in the mirror, and ask ourselves, is there any place for me to belong? So now let's talk about all the things that we do or say or try in order to feel like we belong, because we go through phases, right? Who here wore Zubas? Be honest, let's see the hands. What were we thinking? Hey, let's just make pants that look like a zebra. Sounds awesome. The 90s. We will do almost anything to feel like we belong. We work too many hours. We drink too many drinks. We swallow or smoke or vape something that we hope will give us a status or a sense of relief. We spend too much time with people who aren't our husband or our wife. We buy houses we can't afford. We drive cars we can't afford either. We fill our lives with vacations and fancy clothes and trying to keep up with the Joneses just to prove to ourselves and everybody else around us that we do belong. We can fit in. And in the end, after you've tried all that stuff, all of it, at some point, leaves us feeling the same way. All of those things will eventually cause you to feel the exact same thing. Empty. Unfulfilled. Alone. Maybe even afraid, right? We want to have a place where we feel comfortable and safe, where we can grab our iced tea and sit down in our sweatpants shorts and watch whatever thing we want to watch with nobody there to look at us or judge us. We just want to feel safe and belonging. And instead, everywhere we go feels like another dead end. And we just want a home. But we can't find it. What if I told you, I know why all of those things will leave you feeling empty? What if I told you, I know why the things that I've mentioned leave us feeling like we're going to be stuck wandering forever with no place to call home? It's because all the things that I mentioned, everything on the list, is part of a temporary and terminal place. Everything on that list is part of a temporary and terminal place that you were never meant to call home in the first place. Believe it or not, you and I were never created to live and die. You are more than just your flesh and blood. We were created as eternal beings. Us pastors are fond of saying this: you're going to live forever somewhere. You might want to start thinking about where. You and I were meant, created, intended to be the person God created us to be and to live the life God created us to live so that one day we could spend eternity with Him forever. So with that in mind, and knowing that our sin separates us from God, God not only made us in his image, but he made a way for us to restore our relationship with him, and he gave us a group of people, a place to call home in the meantime, with the understanding that heaven and a new earth that God will create is our ultimate home. God gave us a temporary home to belong to in this life, on this side of eternity. The author of Hebrews speaks about this in Hebrews chapter 3. You want to follow along in the app, the notes section, in your Bible, on the screen, whatever. The author of Hebrews writes this: "Therefore, holy brothers and sisters, you who share in a heavenly calling, you who are destined for eternity with God, consider Jesus, the apostle and the high priest of our confession, who was faithful to him who appointed him, just as Moses was also faithful in all of God's house." Jesus is the person who makes it able for us to stand before God and spend eternity with him. Jesus has been counted worthy of more glory than Moses because he is the builder of the house, and the builder of a house has much more honor than the house itself. Every house is built by someone, but the builder of all things is God. Moses was faithful in all of God's house as a servant and testified about things that would happen later, but Christ is faithful over all of God's house as a son. And we, as God's children, are his house if we hold fast to our confidence and we boast in our hope. The author of Hebrews here says that our heavenly calling is to follow Jesus in this life so that we can be with him in the next. He is building a house filled by people who love him and are trying to follow him and are providing each other with community, because we all need community, right? You don't want to wind up like that guy on the couch. We all need community. We need a place to belong. And I believe this is why the local church exists, and this is why being a part of a local church is so important for us today. Because when it's done right, and we can be honest, it's often not. But when it is done right, it is the closest thing that we can experience to our heavenly home this side of eternity. And people wander away for many reasons. They're distracted by the things in this world that don't really matter. They grow up in church and they walk away. They get confirmed and they never step foot in church again until maybe someone drags them to a college ministry. Or they get married and they have kids and they think to themselves, you know, I think I want my kids to grow up religious, so I better go find a place to belong. But we wake up some morning and we look in the mirror and we realize how far we've strayed, and we wonder, or we convince ourselves, I don't think I can go back. If they knew what I've done, if they know who I am, if they saw the person that I've become, I don't think just the church people don't want me back. I don't think God wants me back. I don't think Jesus wants me back. There's a story that if you grew up in church, you're familiar with. It's found in Luke chapter 15. It's about a dad. It's about a dad who had two sons. One was older. He was the good one. If you're new here this morning and you don't know that Jordan's my brother, that joke didn't land. But the 90% of you who aren't new, chef's kiss. And then there's the younger brother, the rebel, the nonconformist. Jesus tells this story. It's a parable. It means it's not necessarily true, but it illustrates a point. Jesus says there was a man who had two sons, and the younger of them came to his father and said this. I wanted to give him a British accent, but I'm kind of struggling, so just imagine a British accent. Father, give me the share of my property that is coming to me. Dad, give me my inheritance. Now, some of you are thinking, well, I've borrowed money from my parents before. This isn't that. In this culture, if you went to your father, the patriarch of the family, and said, give me what is coming to me, it was literally like looking at him and saying, you are dead to me. You're dead to me. I don't want anything to do with you. I want my money and my stuff, and I am leaving you forever. So the father divided his property between his two sons. And not many days later, the younger son gathered all he had and took a journey into a far-off country. And he squandered all his property in reckless living. That is a really nice way to say his life went to hell in a handbasket. He squandered all he had in reckless living. How religious. And when he had spent everything, a severe famine arose in that country, and he began to be in need. And so he went, and he hired himself out. He found a citizen in the country who needed a hired hand, and that person sent him into the fields to feed his pigs. Now, what do they call the stuff you feed pigs? Slop. Just remember that. He was longing to be fed with the pods that the pigs ate. He was so bad off. He wanted to eat slop. He wished he could roll around in the mud with the pigs because that would be better than where his life was. Some of us have been there. But when he came to himself, this is a saying that basically means when he stopped and slowed down and really thought about what was going on in his life, when he figured out exactly who he was and what he thought he needed, he said this: how many of my father's hired servants have more than enough bread, have more than enough to eat, and yet I perish here with hunger? Now, I don't pretend to know your story, but I know there was a point at my story where I realized I was a sinner in need of a Savior. I realized I was an orphan in need of a family. I realized I was homeless in need of a place to belong. And in that moment, everything else doesn't matter. When someone hands you a lifeline and says, here's your food, here's the place to lay your head, here are the people who will accept you and love you and guide you, in that moment, nothing else matters. You are willing to swallow your pride and say and do whatever it takes to make sure that you get to the other side of that equation. And so the son rehearses what he's going to say to his dad. Imagine, again, the dad who was dead to him, the dad who has every right to act as though he has disowned the son. And he says, this is what I'll say to my dad. I will say, Father, I have sinned against heaven and you, and I am no longer worthy to be considered your son. Right? Just like us. I don't know if I can go back to church. I don't know if I can be a part of a community of faith. I don't know if they want me back. I don't know if God wants me back. He ended it with this: please just treat me as well as one of your hired servants. Just give me the bread and a place to lay down at night. And so he rehearsed, and it says he arose and went to his father. If you're here this morning or watching online, and this is your first time back in church, this is what you did today. You showed up. You swallowed your pride. You admitted that there was something missing in your life, and you walked in or tuned in to a place that might be a place for you to belong. And guys, the next line is the best sentence in the whole story. While he was still a long way off. Not when he got his junk together. Not when he proved he could be perfect. Not when he got close enough that his dad could see exactly, oh, yep, he looks remorseful. Yep. He's been repentant. Look at him. Look at the tears in his eyes and the sorrow on his face. When he was still a long way off. You know what else that means? It means his dad was looking for him. You don't see somebody when they're a long way off if you're not looking. When he was still a long way off, his father saw him, felt compassion, and ran and embraced him and kissed him. Another cultural thing here. Dads, they don't run. It's dishonorable. You might get your feet dirty. You might trip and fall. Your fancy dad cloak might get full of dust. That's why I don't run. I tell my children, dads don't run. It's biblical. You know what else dads don't do? Dads don't hug. Dads don't kiss. My son's 11 years old. I promised him when he was a little boy in kindergarten, I promised him that on his 18th birthday, in front of his girlfriend, I would kiss him on the mouth. So if she's here today, just get ready for it. Dropped him off at camp earlier this summer. First time ever, I went in for a kiss and I got, oh, Dad. That boy got a mouth kiss. The son looks at his father and he says, here comes my rehearsed speech. Father, I have sinned against you and heaven, and I am no longer worthy. And guys, you have to write the whole sentence because otherwise you wouldn't know, right? Like if you're reading a book, it's different than watching a movie. They had to write the whole sentence because Jesus is telling the story. It's not a movie. But let's be real. The father doesn't let him get through the rehearsed speech. Right? Dad is already interrupting. Shh, quiet. Come here. Hug me again. Give me a kiss. Let's go. Come on. I am no longer worthy to be called your son. But the father said to his servants, quickly bring the best robe and put it on him. And put a ring on his hand and shoes on his feet. For this my son was dead. Bring the fattened calf, kill it, let's eat and celebrate. He was dead, but now he is alive again. He was lost, now he is found. He was homeless, and now he has come home. and it says they began to celebrate. This is a well-known Bible story, right? The prodigal son. But it illustrates a truth about God and us and having a place to call home. That truth is this: the family of God is the home you have always had. Maybe you didn't know it. Maybe you didn't feel like it. Maybe you didn't know what it was or how to experience it. But the family of God is the home you have always had. This young son who left and wandered, he left because he wanted to fit in with the world around him. Right? He got distracted. He tried everything that the world had to offer. And what happened? It came up empty, just like we do. He was living in a barn, longing to eat the slop that the pigs eat. That looked better than what his life was going to be. He thought, I could never go home. I'll never belong again. I will resign myself to just having bread on my plate and a place to lay my head. And his father not only welcomed him back, he celebrated him. And God has done the exact same thing for you and me. No matter how far we've strayed, no matter what else we've tried, no matter how far we go or how separated we feel, when you turn back and head towards God, you see he never left and he was waiting and watching for you to come home. In fact, he ran to meet you through the life, death, and resurrection of Jesus, and he wants nothing more than to hand you a robe, put a ring on your finger, and welcome you back home into a family of faith that accepts you and supports you and challenges you and helps you to grow into who he created you to be. Let me be clear. Churches are not perfect places. They're not. Because they're not places at all. The church is a group of people. If we didn't meet in St. Pat's Gymnasium next week, Hillcity Church would still exist. We'd find a new place to worship together. We would still be Hillcity Church. But all churches are made up of flawed people who will fail often. But if you find a good one, it will also be filled with people trying as best they can each and every day to follow Jesus and bring a part of heaven, a part of our heavenly home to earth and give God's children a place to belong and call home for now. For now. The church was designed to give you a place to belong and call home for now. And Jesus knew who his followers were, right? Peter, open mouth, insert foot. This is how close Jesus and Peter were. Great friends. Jesus once said to Peter, "Get behind me, Satan." Imagine if your husband or your wife looked at you this afternoon and said, "Get behind me, Satan. I've got an extra room in my basement." Right? Judas. Jesus knew. John doesn't like to talk about all the mistakes he made in his gospel, but he sure does like to point out how much Jesus loved him. And that's not the most humble of people. Jesus knew who all of his disciples were, right? All of them except John. When he's arrested, they run. These are supposed to be his boys. And he was not just okay with it. That was the plan. These are my people. In the most famous sermon Jesus ever gave, he talks about this. And guys, I've made this statement before. Christians, we are not the best at naming things with originality. The most famous sermon Jesus ever gave is called the Sermon on the Mount. I bet you can figure out what it was and where it took place. It was a sermon on a mountain. This is what Jesus said. Blessed are the poor in spirit, for theirs is the kingdom of heaven. Poor in spirit. I'm not sure I got it today. I'm not sure I believe enough. Blessed are those who mourn, for they will be comforted. Blessed are the meek. If you've been coming to church here for a while, you know I do 100 push-ups a day. I'm still pretty meek. I can do 4 real ones. The rest of them I do on a stair. Blessed are the meek, for they shall inherit the earth. Blessed are those who hunger and thirst for righteousness, because they will be satisfied. Blessed are the merciful, for they shall receive mercy. Blessed are the pure in heart, for they will see God. Blessed are the peacemakers, they will be called sons and daughters of God. Blessed are those who are persecuted for living a righteous life, because theirs is the kingdom of heaven. This sermon talks about imperfect people doing life together, loving one another, stretching each other, striving to bring a piece of heaven to earth and become more like Jesus each and every day. That's what this is. That's what we are. So to wrap things up this morning, let me just talk for a minute about this thing that we call Hillcity Church. Regardless of what our website says, we are not the perfect church. And although the elders get uncomfortable every time I mention this, I am not a perfect pastor. In fact, I have made the joke rather frequently that when you get to heaven, you can walk up to God and say, "What did Stefan get wrong?" And there will be a list. The people sitting on your left and your right, they have been in some of the darkest places this world has to offer, and they will probably sin again today before the date changes to September 11th tomorrow. If you stay around here long enough, you will probably be disappointed at times. Someone might make you angry, and though we really hope not, you getting hurt is a real possibility, because this is an imperfect group of people trying to become more and more like Jesus. I promise if you look hard enough, you will see all of our flaws. If you're looking for them, they're on display. The pastor has an earring and tattoos on both of his arms, and he wears shorts or pants that are rolled up on the bottom. But this side of heaven, every house has flaws, right? There's some faded paint. There's a leaky faucet. There's dust bunnies in the rafters. There's marker drawings from your kids on the walls. And because our house is in Hudson, there is hail-damaged shingles on the roof. So I want to ask you a question, and I want to make you a promise. My question is this. All that other stuff I talked about, all the stuff we try to find a way and a place and a reason to belong, all that other stuff, how's that working out for you? I know it didn't work for me. Everybody needs a home. Everybody needs a place to belong. My promise is this. Hillcity is not a place. Hillcity is a living, breathing family of God. people trying to love him and love one another. And if you let us, we will do our absolute darndest to give you a place to belong and a place to call home. When we formed our church over 10 years ago, me and 11 other people sitting in a basement, we didn't know what to call ourselves. And so I'm not going to lie to you. There's not like some magic story where like I opened up the Bible and the first line I saw, no. In fact, I went through the entire Bible, not like reading it word for word, but like just paging through, looking for stories. I found some really awesome church names that no one else would let me use. But we stumbled across this verse in Matthew chapter 5. Rejoice and be glad, for your reward is great in heaven, because they persecute the prophets who came before you. But you are the salt of the earth. We wanted to be the kind of people that other people wanted to be around, right? That's what salt does. You put it on stuff, it preserves it, it makes it taste better. We wanted to be those kind of people. But if salt has lost its taste, how shall its saltiness be restored? It's not good for anything except for to be thrown out. It melts the ice. And then I read these verses. And I thought about the fact that Hudson used to just be this downtown community. Now there's a hill. Who here remembers when there was nothing on the other side of 94 except Fleet Farm and Burger King? Yeah. There wasn't even Kmart, which is now Home Depot. Listen to these words. You are the light of the world. And a city set on a hill cannot be hidden. And that stuck. We want to be the kind of church that when people need a place to belong, when people need a home, when people need someone to walk alongside them, they say, you know who you should call? You should call those people from Hillcity. People don't put a lamp under a basket or a bushel. No. They put it on a stand and it gives light to all the house. In the same way, this is our charge as members of the Hillcity family and members of this home. Let your light shine before others so that they might see your good works and give glory to your Father who is in heaven. Do everything you can to live a life that points people towards Jesus. Sometimes you'll succeed, other times you'll fail, but if that is your goal, you are a city on a hill and it cannot be hidden. So this morning we celebrate another season of ministry where people from this church, the people who are this church, the people who call this place home, come together to say, we want to be the kind of people who go out and let our light shine before others so that they will see our good works and say, what the heck is up with those people? Whatever it is they've got, I need some of it. And we can point them not to an awesome story about us, but to a story about a God who loved them and is waiting and watching for them to come home. And he wants to run to them and hug them. Maybe a mouth kiss. He wants to say, I love you. I forgive you. My son, my daughter, welcome home. So this morning we're going to stand, we're going to sing together. I have to be honest, this song is what my mom would refer to as bompy. It's got a little sway to it. You can clap your hands. There's a synth on the actual CD track. We don't have a synth here. So we normally end with a impassioned song that helps you feel exactly what the sermon was about. Guys, we're not doing that this morning. We're going to be bompy. We are going to celebrate the fact that we are worshiping together as the house of the Lord, and that brings joy and peace and contentment to us. So if you would, stand up, let's sing together.
Also, I'm not quite as bad as the prodigal son. I mean, I did some bad things growing up, like any second child, but I'm not that bad. I don't think. Art, am I that bad? Oh, he doesn't know that's bad. Okay. Whew! All right, let's do this. Be quiet, no.
It's probably a good thing I'm out of voice. There's so much more I want to tell you about our church and these people and what a wonderful place this is, but you all just want the free stuff and the free lunch. So let's do it. Let's be the family of God. Let's be the house of the Lord that we have been called to be. Because guys, yeah, it's fall kickoff. Guess what? There's church next Sunday. And I'll be less hopped up on cold medicine and more put together. There'll be less jokes. Let's go be the house of the Lord. Thank you for joining us. Please don't walk out. Donna has so much food. Grab some stuff. Come join us for lunch. We'd love to talk with you. Have a great week. We'll see you next time. There's a movie. Sit down. It's too good. It's too good. You got to see it. Sit down. You got to see it. It's way too good.
I've got my memories always inside of me, but I can't go back to how it was. I believe now I've come too far. No, I can't go back to how it was. Create for a place I've never known. This is home. Now I'm finally where I belong. Where I belong. Yeah, this is home. I've been searching for a place of my own. Now I've found it. Maybe this is home. Yeah, this is home. Belief over misery. I've seen the enemy, and I won't go back to how it was. And I got my heart set on what happens next. I got my eyes wide. It's not over yet. We're miracles, and we're not alone. Yeah, this is home. Now I'm finally where I belong. Where I belong. Yeah, this is home. I've been searching for a place of my own. Now I've found it. Maybe this is home. Yeah, this is home. And now, after all my searching, after all my questions, I'm gonna call it home. I got a brand new mindset. I can finally see the sunset. I'm gonna call it home. Home, this is home. Now I'm finally where I belong. Where I belong. Yeah, this is home. I've been searching for a place of my own. Now I've found it. Maybe this is home. This is home. Now I know. Yeah, this is home. I've come too far, and I won't go back. Yeah, this is home.